The RAKK Kimat XT3 is a full-sized 104-key keyboard with the Trimode connectivity being Wi-Fi, wired, and Bluetooth 5.2, all powered by a 4000 mAh battery pack. It has a gasket-mounted build, though it leans on the stiffer side. The full plastic housing is fully dampened, which should improve sound absorption. A segment to explore more later on. Equipped with a knob for added functionality and with a universal hot swap PCB, it supports both 3-pin and 5-pin switches. It comes stock with pre-lubed Huano switches, and it offers the convenience of a web-based software for customization without the need for downloading any software. Speaking of the software, so over at RAKK.ph, just hover your mouse over Downloads, click on Drivers and Software, scroll down to see RAKK Kimat XT3 web software. So in order to connect your keyboard to the software, just click on this Please Connect button right there. It's not actually a button, but this whole red thing, just click on that then, and you'd see a RAKK Kimat there. Choose that device and click on Connect. So the tabs are down here. We have light settings here. We have the modes, brightness, speed, direction. Next, we have the key binding feature over here. So you could assign mouse buttons into your keyboard. Next tab, macro settings. So I created a new profile by clicking this button and then click on record. I hope we could insert mouse buttons into the macro settings here, but looks like that's not an option. And lastly, we have here the other settings, pretty much self-explanatory. Now in the box, the RAKK Kimat XT3 includes the keyboard itself, a manual, a keycap and switch puller combo tool, and a cable. The cable is thick and braided, so good inclusion here. The keyboard has a full ABS plastic build paired with a textured aluminum knob for better grip. For angle adjustments, it includes 2 kick-up feet with silicone padding on the underside. Near the power switch, there's also a layout switch and its USB-C input. Internally, the keyboard has a steel positioning plate and is fully dampened to improve acoustics and overall feel during use. Speaking of dampers, let's go over that real quick. So it turns out there are clips on this keyboard, but they're pretty easy to remove. Just putting the prying tool there, then pry it off. That's an easy tear down. So we have here the 4000 mAh battery pack. I am taking that. Okay, let's go over dampers here. At the bottom case, you get foam right here, and then in between the PCB and the positioning plate, you get 3 layers. I do a zoom here. So the first layer is a pour-on sandwich foam right there, IXP switch pad underneath that, and then PET anti-static film. There is the PET anti-static film right there. It's very, very thin, but yep, 3 layers in between the PCB and the positioning plate. So looking at the PCB here, it's not a flex cut PCB, and that's because this is paired with a steel positioning plate. This were a PC positioning plate, I'm pretty sure RAKK would have put a flex cut PCB here. Anyways, that's just fine. This will basically give you pretty much a stiffer typing feel, and I would recommend tactile switches on a stiff plate like this one. But check this out. You get ports for screw-in stabs or clip-in stabs. You have that. We also have it for the enter key. We also have it for the backspace, and the same goes for the 2 stabbed keys right here. Oh, and before I forget, the dampers here are made of silicone, and they're pretty thick, huh? This has cherry profile PBT double shot side printed gradient keycaps. Stabilizers here are loose, but I don't hear a lot of rattling except for that of the backspace. Some cloth tape should fix the loose stabilizers. Then onto the switches. The Huano yellow switches have a 45-gram actuation force and doesn't feel scratchy thanks to the lube. Although this has no RGB diffusers in them, they're transparent so as to allow light to shine through the keycap. But how do they actually sound when matched with the steel plate? As for aesthetics, the Kimat is only offered in 2 color options, white and black, which are safe options. You get branding at the lower right corner of the keyboard, which is better than just a print. And beside the knob, you get 4 total light indicators for numlock, caps lock, connectivity, and battery levels. The ABS housing does not feel too glossy. It has a bit of a matte eggshell-like texture, but with a little bit of gloss. The RGB is fairly bright, and I don't think it lacks in this regard. There are lots of RGB modes to choose from, toggleable with the function key and backslash. More alternate functions can be explored through the manual itself. So what do you think? I'm leaving links in the description below if you want to get yourself your own RAKK Kimat. Buy from those links and get me a cup of coffee.